Hi students, welcome to English class. Today we are going to learn part 2 of the chapter 1, The Fun They Had. So before moving on to the text, let us recap briefly of part 1. So in part 1, Mazi, a 11-year-old girl, wrote in her diary that Tommy found a real book. Real book in the sense, printed book. Tommy had found it in the attic in his house. On seeing the book, both were astonished and felt so funny because the words in that book were not moving, they stood still, as the words in their books just can move on, as they are using e-books. So on seeing this printed book, they felt so surprised. But Tommy did not like this printed book because his e-book has many stories. But this printed book, once we finish reading, we should throw it away. Tommy could not throw his e-book, because there are many stories and much more. And Maji asked Tommy what was written there in that book. Tommy replied that it was written about a school, but Maji hated school. So she exclaimed that what was there to write about the school, because she hated school. Especially she hated her teacher, that her teacher means both have the mechanical teacher in place of human teacher. So they do not like that teacher. Especially Maji did not like the teacher because the teacher conducted test after test. But Maji could not perform well. So Maji's mother called for the county inspector, who was a mechanic, to repair that mechanical teacher. Maji's mother felt that there was a problem with the teacher, so Maji was unable to perform well. So she called for the county inspector. Who was the county inspector, sir? He was a person who repairs the machine. So county inspector came to Maji's house and repaired it within an hour. There Maji felt disappointed because Maji hoped that county inspector would not know how to repair it, but within an hour he repaired it. Again the teacher came back, and again the teacher was ready, so she felt very disappointed. Now part 2. Please follow the text while I am reading. Note down the meanings of new vocabulary. Please be attentive, listen carefully. Part 2, passage, paragraph 5. The inspector had smiled after he was finished and patted Maji's head. He said to her mother, "It's not the little girl's fault, Mrs. Jones. I think the geography sector was geared a little too quick. Those things happen sometimes. I have slowed it up to an average 10-year level. Actually, the overall pattern of her progress is quite satisfactory." And he patted Maji's head again. Coming to that passage. The inspector had finished his work and patted Maji's head. He told her mother, Maji's mother, that it's not the little girl's fault, Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones was the mother of Maji. There was no fault with the girl, but the fault is only with the machine. I think the geography sector, the geography part was geared a little too quick. That means was moving little too quick. So those things happen sometimes. I have slowed it up to an average 10-year level. That means I have slowed the machine to suit for the 10-year students. It was little fast, so he had repaired it and just set it for which is suitable for 10 years girls. Actually, the overall pattern of her performance is quite satisfactory. Overall pattern of her progress is quite satisfactory. That means Maji is doing well. There is no problem with her. And he patted Maji's head again. But here, next passage, see there. Maji was disappointed. She had been hoping they would take the teacher away altogether. They had once taken Tommy's teacher away for nearly a month because the history sector had blanked out completely. That means Maji was completely disappointed because he hoped that the county inspector, when the county inspector came to her house, he would take the machine to his house to repair it, because he had taken Tommy's teacher. Once he had taken Tommy's teacher away for nearly a month because the same problem, the history sector had blanked out completely for Tommy's teacher. But here, Maji had also hoped the same, but it did not happen here. The county inspector had repaired there itself within an hour. For that, Maji was completely disappointed. Again, the classes would be starting. The teacher was ready. Yes, next passage. So she said to Tommy, "Why would anyone write about school? What is the need of writing about school? What is there to write about school? Generally, when I ask you to write about school, you can write many things. Many funny things are there. You can write about your school building, you can write about your school, you can write about your teachers, your friends, and the what not. You can write about many things." But she was telling that. She told Tommy, "Why would anyone write about school? What is there to write about school? Nothing is there for her only, not for us." Passage, paragraph 6. Tommy looked at her with very superior eyes. Superior means, see that, like an officer, a high officer, superior eyes. "Because it's not our kind of school, stupid. This is the old kind of school that they had hundreds and hundreds of years ago." He added loftily, that means in the superior way, like an officer, pronouncing the word carefully, "centuries ago." Tommy looked at her with very superior eyes. "Stupid, it's not our kind of school. This is the old kind of school that they had hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Centuries ago. These kind of schools were existed in centuries ago. It's not our type of school." Maji was hurt with his words. "Well, I don't know what kind of school they had all at that time ago. I don't like to know about what kind of school they had all that time ago, but I don't like to know about them." She read the book over his shoulders for a while, then said, "Anyway, they had a teacher. Just move on to the next part. Sure, they had a teacher, but it wasn't a regular teacher. It was a man," Tommy said. "Sure, they had a teacher, but it was not a regular teacher like us. It was not a mechanical teacher like us, like our teacher. It was a man, it was a human being." "A man? How could a man be a teacher?" She did not know about this all. "A man? How could a man be a teacher? How could a man teach the lessons? A man?" Then Tommy replied that, "Well, He just told the boys and girls things and gave them homework and asked them questions. That's it. What is her reply? 7th paragraph. A man is not smart enough, she said. Maji said that. A man is not clever enough, smart enough, that man cannot do this teaching and all other things. Only a machine can do. Because she has that kind of teacher, mechanical teacher. So her school is like that only. Then Tommy said, sure, he is. My father knows as much as my teacher. My father knows everything. My father knows as much as my teacher, my mechanical teacher. My father answers to any question asked by the mechanical teacher. So, sure, a man can be a teacher. He knows almost as much as I betcha. Betcha means just I bet you. Betta antam kada manam. Betta means I bet you. So it's a type of argument. Betta. But Maji wasn't prepared to dispute that, to argue with him. She said, I would not want a strange man in my house to teach me. I wouldn't want a strange man in my house to teach me. I would not want a human being in my house to teach me. So Tommy screamed with laughter. Screamed means make sound. With laughter. You don't know much, Maji. You don't know much, Maji. The teachers did not live in the house like our mechanical teacher. Tommy screamed with laughter. You don't know much, Maji. The teacher did not live in the house. They had a special building and all the kids went there. Just guess that what is that special building? Nothing. It's a school here. They had a special building and all the kids went there. No teacher came to their houses. Right. Then Maji asked, and all the kids learned the same thing? That means all the kids went there, gathered at a place and learned. That means she was asking that. And all the kids learned the same thing? Sure. If they were the same age, exactly what is happening here now, age level. If they were the same age, they learn the same thing. But in their school, in their education system, the mechanical teacher has abundant information. You just switch on the button, that's it. It can teach you many things. It can just tell you many things. Here, all the kids learn the same thing, exactly. If they were the same age, they learn the same thing. But my mother says, a teacher has to be adjusted to fit the mind of each boy and girl it teaches, and that each kid has to be taught differently. Yes, it's right. But my mother says a teacher has to be adjusted to fit the mind of each boy and girl. Each boy and girl is unique. So a teacher has to fit the mind of each boy and girl. And that each kid has to be taught differently. Of course, in our classrooms it is not happening. Each kid has to be taught differently, but it is not happening in our school. We all gather at a place and learn the same thing. But Maji's mother says a teacher has to be adjusted to fit the mind of each boy and girl. Maybe it's true. The next passage. Just the same, they didn't do it that way then. In those days, they didn't do it. They didn't do that in that method. If you don't like it, you don't have to read the book. If you don't like, don't read the book, just keep it away. I didn't say I didn't like it, Maji said quickly. I didn't say I didn't like it. I love to read the book. She wanted to read about those funny schools. They weren't even half finished when Maji's mother called. Maji, school! They were reading the book. They weren't even half finished reading that book. They weren't finished. Then Maji's mother called. Maji, school, it's time to go to school. It's time for school. Maji looked up. Not yet, Mama. That means, not yet. It's not the time, Mama. There is a lot of time to go to school. Then her mother says, Now, said Mrs. Jones. Now, said Mrs. Jones. And it's probably time for Tommy too. Tommy, it's time for you to go to school. Probably for you also. You should also attend the class. It's time. Maji said to Tommy then, Can I read the book some more with you after school? Please, can you give me the book? Can I read the book some more with you after school? After school, I'll come to you. Can you give me the book? I want to read it. Which book that is? The real book. Yes. Students, this is part 2. Please go through the text again. Note down the hard words and answer the questions given in the assignment. Thank you.